Thank you so much, Vice Chair. I'll now request Reverend Father Mutie to ask you a few questions, Mushid.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mushid, allow me to take you back to an earlier discourse that you had with one of our panelists. You said, what informed you to do an application?
Father, I can't hear you clearly.
Chair, if you allow me to remove the mask.
Sorry for that, Father.
Sir, I'm just doing a follow-up question.
Yes.
From where my brother, a fellow panelist, Mr. Kimuli, left. You said, what informed your choice to apply for a commission when you are still a commissioner?
You see, from the Police Service Commission, I got this idea that I have done policies around the commission. I have done regulations around the commission. Almost all that what needs to be done is there. But then here comes the Election Commission. You look at the Election Commission and you look at what the Election Commission has put us through before, successive election commissions. You look at the violence and that I do have the necessary experience, the necessary governance ability, the necessary integrity which goes with it. And you feel that here we have, if we are not going to get our elections right, and we have a safe, secure, valid elections, you always have the feeling that we could go back to where we were, almost losing a nation. I'm looking at myself. I have kids. And when I say a kid, it's the kid of every other Kenyan, because you have to have that empathy and extension. You have family, you have parents. You think of all the parents that are there. You have brothers and sisters, by extension, the entire country. So you feel that you are able to serve, and especially after being in a place like the National Police Service Commission, where you are dealing with trying to change the culture from a colonial culture, the way our services, it was a force. We said force to service. And you get this feeling that this is on the mend. And you get the feeling that if we lose it here, no matter where else that we have been able to get things right, we'll be going south on that one. So it's that feeling of wanting to do something for the country and for yourselves that propelled me into applying for the Election Commission.
So during then, you were the chair of the policy programs, regulations, legal affairs, and appeal committee then. So as a lawyer, did it come to your mind, what were the expectations or the legal requirements for one to apply?
To which one?
As a lawyer?
Yes.
Based on the Constitution of Kenya.
Yes.
Did it cross your mind that you were doing an illegality?
I'm being?
You are doing an illegality?
An illegality? No, it is not an illegality to apply for a job.
When you are a commissioner and you want to apply to become a commissioner in another commission?
You see,
it is not stated in the law
that you cannot apply for the IEBC.
Mm-hmm.
It says that you cannot be appointed as a commissioner in another commission or in a state office if you're already having another state office. But that is already if you have been appointed as such. The appointment time comes in when you've done your interview, when the nominations have gone to His Excellency the President, where it has gone to Parliament for approval. The time from Parliament, when it goes back to the President, that is the time that you are going to be appointed. At that point of time, then it will be an illegality for you to hold two offices. Because even in the commission, in the constitution, one of the ways in which you can come out of a commission is by tendering a resignation, which I would have done. But it was not a requirement to resign before you apply.
Thank you. Allow me to ask you in Swahili. I know you know a lot of Swahili. Ni mahadili gani unayoenzi? Mahadili.
Maadili gani?
Ehe.
Maadili, ndugu yangu, ni mambo mengi yako ndani, na hakuna uadilifu ambao una kigezo kimoja. Uadilifu ni mambo mengi yamechanganyana pamoja. Moja hapo uwe ni mkweli, mwingine uwe ni mwaminifu. Usiwe ni mtu ambaye haja zako za kibinafsi zinachukua kipaumbele kulingamana na haja za kazi yako ama na haja za umma wote ya wananchi wa Kenya. Maadili mengine ni kuhakikisha kwamba ukifanya kazi unafanya kazi kwa kujitolea. Hufanyi kazi kwa kulemaa, kwa ubaradufu, kwa njia ambayo yaonekana wazi kwamba umepatiwa wadhifa huu, umepatiwa mamlaka haya, umepatiwa nguvu hizi, lakini wewe mwenyewe umezifanya kwa njia ya ulemavu na hukuifanya kwa kupata yale malengo ya wewe ulipowekewa mahali pale. Kwa hivyo ukweli ni mojawapo, kutimiza ahadi ni jingine, kufanya kazi kwa uaminifu, kutokubali rushwa na kuhongwa, kutokubali mambo ya ukabila, kutokubali mambo ya kiimla, kubaguana, iwe ni kwa jinsia, iwe ni kubaguana kwa sababu ya utajiri, umaskini, umebaguana kwa sababu wewe umezaliwa sehemu nyingine na unaonekaniwa watu wa sehemu ile si wa Kenya wakamilifu, ama wengine wana hoja zaidi. Kwa hivyo ni cocktail nzima.
Asante.
Mchakato tutasema mzima.
Asante.
wa maadili. Naam.
Asante Bwana Muhammad. Naomba I would wish to follow a question, follow-up question. You said you applied to be a commission. You've been working in different commissions. For example, the Poverty Eradication Committee, Boundaries Review Commission,
Yes.
National Police Service Commission. You also applied to the Data Commission.
Yes.
You applied to be a part of a member of the Judicial Service Commission, which came later, after you'd finished your term at National Police Service.
Yes.
And you're saying that you applied to IEBC because you have that desire to serve.
Yes.
Allow me to ask, was it in your mind then, when you are doing this application, that at some point that the 4 commissioners of IEBC will be required?
They've been quiet.
Yes, there will be a moment when we will need to fill the 4 positions.
Yes.
At IEBC. Was it in your mind?
That there would be a need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You see, there would be a need, obviously, because the law requires that when a vacancy occurs within stipulated time
I mean,
frames.
when you're applying for those other commissions.
No. I didn't know when IEBC would be. I will tell you from the experiences of the Police Service Commission. When we started within the civilian aspect of the Police Commission, we were 4 of us. Our vice chair passed on. After that, one of our members became incapacitated. And that was very much early on in the commission. Several years down the line, until we exited office, they were never replaced. There is also this idea that if a commission needs to have a basic membership of 3 commissioners, yeah? And there was a court ruling which says that it is properly constituted, even if you fall down to 3. So it means you can continue going with those commissioners until the end of the term of the commission. It's only that there are interventions of certain court cases which now compels that we needed to have the full complement of the commissions. So my answer is, at the back of my mind, Maybe one day, but maybe not, because I have experienced being in a commission where the commissioners who fell out of the commission were not.
So if
Yes.
you're appointed to those other commissions, or either of those commissions, would you resign to join the IEBC?
No, I wouldn't have resigned. I would have gone, because.
So what happens to that kind of passion you have for IEBC?
I wouldn't resign from the IEBC should I be given the job. I would stay the whole cause, if that was the question, if I understood it correctly.
So allow me to ask you, you said you did a lot of work at the National Police Service.
Yes.
What reforms can you consider to have contributed towards when you are a commissioner?
From the National Police Service Commission, what kind of reforms we brought in?
Yes.
Okay. Number one, we were able to establish the Office of the Inspector General because it was a new office. And until and unless the IG came into office, there was no independent command of the service. The service was not an independent command. It was part and parcel of the Office of the President. So in terms of the new constitution, it had to become an independent body, and the embodiment of that independent is to have independent command in the IG. That was our first task. We did something similar to what we have done on the other side of the hall, and were able to recruit the Inspector General a month or so before the elections, in fact. We were able to put the Deputy Inspector Generals in place, and more critically, we were able now to start on looking at the human resource aspect of the service, which was really what the commission was supposed to do. So we did, and I was leading that team. We did regulations on appointment of police officers. That was important from the history of what happened 07 in terms of competencies. We did...
In that line, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether it was during that time when some recruitments were considered, were annulled.
We did the first batch of 10,000 police officers. That was not annulled. It went on very well, and we are able to get 10,000 recruits in our training colleges. I would like us to also think around what happened during that time. That was the time where there was very many cases of terrorism. Again, according to Ransley, our 1 ratio to 450 police officers was not achieved. We had almost 1,000 officers. Now, when we came to the second recruitment, there were allegations that they were mad with corruption, and that many people paid money, and persons went to court. I remember the lead state organ that went to court on that one was IPOA. One of the issues that came up was whether IPOA had the power to supervise the National Police Service Commission. The court ruled that they cannot, but they were able to come in because people who did the recruitment involved their own police officers. So what we did, we made our policies. We made the national team, which was made of the IG, made of the commissioners, in order to roll out the recruitment of the police officers like was done in the first instance. And then we had committees on the ground. The committees of the ground had security officers as secretaries to that project. We had a medical officer from the ministry who was to check on the health status of those recruits. We had an education officer, so it was an intergovernmental committee. The matter was turned by the court. Justice Lenaona rightly said that, you see, those committees which effected the work of recruitment on the ground were committees that were not of the commission. And those committees were not even of the service, because what we had to do was just to make an instrument delegating some of the powers to do that recruitment to the Inspector General. That we did not do. And that turned the case and said that on that basis, this recruitment stands voided. And we corrected that. We went back, we made our instruments of governance, of course, not before trying to go for appeal, because it was a very difficult time in terms of getting people into the service. Not only that, when those allegations came from IPOA that this was corrupt, there was a lot of demand for money, we set up a multi-agency task team where we also invited IPOA to be part of that team. They stayed away, but we did one intergovernmental one. People went to the ground, investigated where we found irregularities committed, and we found 36 centers were out of so many centers, 36 only had those irregularities. So we came back through that report, and we said, let us cancel all that recruitment so that we recruit afresh from those centers. Of course, people who got into those centers, they went also to court. And that was part of so many cases, for and against, which then were before Justice Lenaola. But the ruling of the court was on the basis that proper delegation to the IG through an instrument was not done. And on that basis, it was annulled.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Reverend Mutie.